Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Woodpeckers Deep Dive. My name is Jeff Farris. Welcome to the Woodpeckers Model Shop. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the new Ultra-Shear Metric Half-Round Bits. And we're going to use this in conjunction with the Domino XL, Festool's large mortising machine. We're going to use those to do some through mortise and tenons with wedges. Okay, let's get started. With the recent addition of the 12 and 14 millimeter metric half rounds, Ultra-Shear now makes them in all the sizes to match both the Domino DF500 and the Domino XL DF700. Those sizes are 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 millimeters. Our original idea with these bits was to make loose tenons without the ridges and channels, so they could be used in exposed tenon joinery. But when Rich gave me the prototypes for the 12 and 14 millimeter bits, another idea came to me. Personally, I'm not a fan of the proportions of the 12 and 14 millimeter Domino tenons. To me, they seem too narrow for how thick they are. Now, in joinery, one way to overcome that is to put in multiples. But that isn't going to work nicely in an exposed joint. So I started playing around with intersecting cuts with the Domino. 2 cuts on the wide setting with the centers 5/8 of an inch apart makes a mortise that is right at 2 inches wide. Now you can use this same idea to make just about any size mortise you want, just by changing the bit size, switching between narrow and wide setting, and adjusting the space between the 2 centers. Now, let's take a closer look at creating a nice fit when we make the loose tenon stock to fit this wider mortise. I'm going to gather up some bits and pieces from around the shop and rip them all to 2 1/4 inches wide, just a little wider than the finished mortise. Make a lot more tenon stock than you need when you do this. You're going to lose some in the milling and again when you're setting up the router table. So make a bunch and then throw any leftovers in your future projects bin. Okay, with all the pieces cut to width, I'm going to joint and plane them down to thickness. Put away your rules, tapes, and calipers. Mill the stock to fit the mortise you just cut, not to match a specific dimension. And if your planer has snipe, and they almost all do, cut the snipe area off and check the fit again. At the router table, the easiest way to run the stock is to get the fence set so it's cutting the full profile, but not changing the width. Now run one edge on all the pieces. And at the table saw, we're going to cut to final width. Rip one piece, take it back to the router, and check the fit. When you get it just right, run the whole batch through the table saw, and then on the router table. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of nice fitting loose tenon material. Let me show you my favorite way to use this stuff. My 2 favorite furniture styles are Craftsman and Danish Modern, both of which use a lot of exposed tenons. And frequently, those tenons are wedged. So I'm going to show you how to make this joint where we have a contrasting wood with contrasting wedges. The Domino XL 14 millimeter cutter can go 2 3/4 inches or 70 millimeters deep. So placing the tenon equally deep in the apron and the leg, we need at least 5.5 inches of tenon, plus whatever exposure we want. Now we can adjust that after the glue dries, so I'm going to make my tenons 6 inches long. Having done a few samples, I've settled on a layout that divides the tenon roughly in thirds with the ends just slightly wider than the center. Since the center is square and the ends are rounded, This seems to balance nicely. I'm using a 3/32 inch thin kerf saw blade to cut the slots for the wedges, just to make them a little more delicate looking. You can take this to the extreme by using a handsaw. I'm cutting the slot just a little deeper than the exposure, plus the width of the stock. I have some of the stock I milled for Tenon material, so it's just right for the width of the wedges. I'll use the Woodpeckers thin rip jig to cut some strips that are an overly snug fit in the kerf. Now I need a tiny bit of taper in these two wedges, and the quickest way to get that is with a block plane. Usually when you use a plane, you start with the nose flat on the work and the blade just off the edge. Theoretically, that will make a straight cut, a single uniform thickness from one end to the other. But if I start with the blade already on the stock, it cuts thinner at the beginning and tapers into a full cut. You can control the taper by your starting point and the number of strokes you take from each starting point. Now these tiny wedges are hard to hold on to, so I'm going to use my new favorite work holding product, double face tape. This doesn't need to be super precise, and I can always cut extras, so I can throw away any mistakes. I just want to make a wedge that starts easily, but still contacts as it gets tighter the deeper you drive it. If you don't have a block plane, or you're not comfortable with using one, you can do the same thing with sandpaper. Time to glue this together. I like to work in a clean area with the stuff I need laid out within easy reach and at least a little bit organized. I'll start by putting the tenon in the apron. Just wet the surfaces with glue. It doesn't need to be dripping off. Now we'll drive the tenon through the leg and clamp it in place. Then drive the wedges home. When the glue dries, I'll measure my exposure and cut the excess off with a handsaw. Then soften the edges with some 120 grit sandpaper. And there we go. Now obviously, this is a lot more complicated when you're putting together an actual project. But in my personal shop, I make what I've just done here a habit. If I'm trying something new, I'll do at least one, and sometimes more, sample joints to find all the stumbling blocks and figure out ways around them. And remember, this isn't limited to just the big tenons. You can overlap cuts on any domino size, and you can wedge the joint if you want. Just remember that when you start driving the wedges home, you're pretty much done. It's really difficult to back up and take the joint apart once you have the wedges applying pressure. Hey folks, thanks for sticking with me through to the end. I know there were lots of steps involved in this, but I believe you'll agree the results certainly justify all of the hard work. Now, if you enjoyed the show today, be sure and give us a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know about every one of our videos right when they come out. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time on Woodpeckers Deep Dive.